The new film, A Civil Action, was the #1 movie in America this weekend. It's the real-life story of a legal battle between 8 Massachusetts families whose children died from leukemia and the 2 corporate giants they thought were responsible. Recently, I sat down with Academy Award winner John Travolta, who plays the lawyer for the families.
Mrs. Anderson, our firm is very small, 3 attorneys, that's it, which means that we can only take on so many cases at once. And we have to be very careful about the ones we do, because frankly, we can't afford to lose. Our clients pay nothing, we pay everything, and we only get paid back if we win or settle.
I know that.
But no, you want an apology, and there's nothing more I'd like to do than to get you that apology. But from who? Who is going to apologize to you and pay me? There has to be a defendant and one with very deep pockets. This is not an inexpensive case to try. He's articulate, he's smart, he's selfish, he's slightly arrogant.
Materialistic,
but unaware of all these things, meaning he is not particularly, which I think makes him funny to watch. And as I said in other interviews, I'm not one of these actors that feels you have to like the character. I feel that you just have to make him watchable and entertaining. And part of what makes him watchable is that he's funny to watch because he's unaware of these kind of not so appealing qualities.
Tell us what changes Jan Schlickman for forever, really.
Well, he stumbles really upon a case that is different for him in that he doesn't know if there's deep pockets attached. And Jan Schlickman rejects it at first, but then he finds there are actual big corporations behind these people's tragedy. And
so he doesn't get back into the case completely for altruistic reasons by any means?
By any means. In the beginning, he's only there for superficial reasons. And so is the whole group that he's involved with. And through getting to know his clients and through being forced to go to trial, which, you know, this kind of lawyer doesn't like to go to trial. They're used to settling for blackmail or leverage, so they don't have to go to trial. So he's testing his professionalism. Can he actually stand up in trial? So it's his ego as a professional, as well as his need for success monetarily.
Could you understand in the process of doing this film how someone like Jan Schlickman, since this is based on a true story, a real case, could become so obsessed and lose everything because of one particular case? That he became so sucked into it?
I see that because he has a challenge, finally, as a professional, and he is challenged as a human being, and he hasn't played this kind of game before.
I think I'd have to agree with that.
Well, Your Honor,
yes. If the jury decides favorably on the geological evidence, yes, then you could bring your families in.
Your Honor,
Otherwise,
the jury came into this courtroom expecting a human drama.
I don't
and
care
instead,
what they
for
were
3 months,
expecting.
we've been giving them lessons in geology. Now, we had to do that, but now it's over, finally. Now it's time.
Now we have to see where we are before we can move on, and before we subject these families to more trauma than is necessary, because that would just be cruel.
Well, but they want to testify.
Mr. Schlickman.
They need to
No, the
testify.
decision has been
Well, this
made.
is the defendant's plan.
No, it's my
This is
plan.
Thatcher's plan right from the beginning. He
my
told me,
plan.
he threatened me.
It's my plan!
You met the real Jan Schlickman sort of halfway in the middle of your filming, and you have said at some point that you didn't really want to portray the real Jan Schlickman, that rather it's a composite of many different characters. Why not just sort of meet the guy and play him as you see him?
Well, I've played other real-life characters before, and sometimes it's not appropriate only because maybe they've changed in life. And I think that Jan Schlickman, in this case, was already the evolved gentleman, and I had less to learn from that, thinking that I could probably play that already, but more to learn from the kind of cool and distant fellow that I had to kind of use my recall on all the many lawyers in the last 23 years that I've been involved with.
What was he like?
He was a very charming guy and seemed very considerate and definitely a go-getter. He still had that in him. Clearly committed to ecological purposes and being a kind of lawyer that you would respect.
You've described this as a cream of the crop type project. What was it about this, that seems to fit the bill for you perfectly as an actor?
Well, it's a challenge. It's something I haven't played before, and that always is part of my criteria. The Element, Steve Zalian, who's an excellent writer, won the Oscar for Schindler's List. The book was not only a top-selling book, but one that was very well respected. The case is authentic and interesting, and it certainly has merit as far as what it communicates about our environment, because we certainly are behind on our responsibility for the environment. Not that people aren't taking responsibility for it, but I think that we have to even do more in order to catch up with how toxic our environment is.
Do you hope that that will be one of the messages of the movie that
I try not to make movies that prepare messages, but if someone were to be inspired or learn something about that, that would be absolutely 100% fine with me.
John Travolta, the movie is a civil action.